ナマズが地震と結びつけられ、怪異として語られたのは江戸中期。
The golden age of jiu-jitsu. You can imagine the day-to-day life in the Heian era was challenging. But what if it wasn't challenging for you? What if you were a genius with a busted curse technique? What if you were subbed to the channel? All serious though, I am less than 250 subs away from hitting a goal I thought wasn't possible, which is 1k subs, so I appreciate anyone that likes and subscribes. Enjoy the video. Kenjaku has been a hot button topic amongst the fandom in more ways than one. On one side, we have the group that is upset with the merger not being a bigger part of the story, or even at all. There is 3 chapters left at the point of this recording, so it may still be able to be included, but they're not going to get what they want. The other group of fans are people who have issues with Kenny's conclusion and how it went down just in general. I can empathize with this group, unlike the first one. I was a big pusher for Yuta versus Kenjaku, the final matchup. My original theory was going to be both of the characters dying in the fight, with Yuta just barely outliving Kenjaku, which would be thanks to Rika. The thing that Suguru Geto initially pursued Yuta for would be the reason also why Yuta technically would get the win over Kenjaku, but no, Kenjaku met his end with a comedian. Not just a comedian, but Takaba. If you aren't familiar with my channel or my hating, Takaba's top 2 characters I do not like. He came off as a gag character, quite literally. And I also don't think he's funny, I'm sorry. But if there's one thing he did that's huge, that was taking care of Kenjaku. Now, this is what people don't like, and I get it, but after looking at a couple different points and Kenjaku's character and how he was portrayed throughout the entire story, I started to look at it a different way, just looking at Kenjaku as a character singularly and his interactions. I noticed something that is pretty obvious, but when you put it under a microscope, it lends itself to, at least in my opinion, soften the blow of Kenjaku's conclusion. And I also think it might answer for why the merger wasn't a bigger part of the story. The first thing I want to talk about is the famous interaction between Kenjaku and Choso in chapter 202. Kenjaku wonders what it would look like, referring to the merger. Right now I feel like a kid holding a crown in front of a blank piece of paper. Choso pestering him, asking what does he get from it and what motivates him. Kenjaku simply states, "I'm fascinated. I just think it'll be fascinating, but I won't know for sure until it happens." These 3 pages stuck out to me a bit more after Kenjaku's conclusion and looking back on it. Originally, it came off as the merger is the motivation for all of this. I think it's a lure of mystery of the merger, chasing the entertainment, chasing the thing that fascinates him. He even says, "I won't know for sure until it happens." He isn't even sure if it will actually entertain him to what he hopes. In my opinion, the merger wasn't the initial motivator or a catalyst for him to go through this entire time. I believe his initial objective was to actually find something that satisfied his need for entertainment. Get rid of the boredom, the mundane, the monotonous. You could look at it as him suffering from a bit of existential ennui. Kenjaku had a ton of preparation he had to go through in order to make the Culling Games happen, to obtain enough curse energy in order to enact the merger. The merger was the thing he saw as his answer for boredom, to create chaos beyond his control. Everything else before then just didn't cure that appetite for something entertaining, something exciting, something new in his life. So the merger did have its own importance in Kenjaku's timeline, of course, and his motivations, but the merger itself wasn't what he was looking for. It was that entertainment I mentioned. And going through these 1,000 years, setting up the Culling Games, making these vows, may not have led to him seeing the actual merger, but it did lead to one thing that he was looking for this whole time, and that is to have fun. It may not lived up to 100% of his expectations. Nonetheless, it was still unexpected fun that he just genuinely was happy to have. Something new, something unforeseen, and that one thing was, no, not Hazanoki. But it's interesting though how he does talk to Hazanoki about wanting to be his friend. Kenjaku does have expectations for those he lets in close. He's well thought out, well articulated, articulated, he knows how to manipulate people, and he knows how to get what he wants. He has an overwhelming sense of self. To go through 1,000 years, through different bodies, learning different people's memories, but still maintaining a sense of self is huge. So he is no one to be fucked with, that's for sure. So being an equal is almost impossible. But we know with Takaba's technique, Takaba can even do something he can't, which is an ability that works on Gojo. And that leads me to the conclusion of the board one. Takaba defeated Kenjaku, even though I will say I believe that Kenjaku beat Takaba, but Takaba's main goal was to distract him, which he succeeded, for Yuta to come in and sneak him. Even though I wanted the Yuta Kenjaku deathmatch to settle it, I was not let down by this. I didn't love it. It was just fine to me. I just accepted it. Yeah, it sucks he didn't get to see the merger happen because he did set up a shit ton of vows and pacts. Honestly, it's amazing he even was able to start the culling games, to be honest with you. But viewing Kenjaku as almost like a child that is bored, I think a lot of these panels start to make a little bit more sense. I'm not saying that this fixes Kenjaku's conclusion or anything. I do believe that this is something within character that softens the blow a bit of his conclusion. As a villain in Shonen Jump, I feel like a lot of their villains are meant to kind of go out in a sad way or pathetic. You know, these people who take lives from the innocent and the heroes who do good and hold up justice. They look the most pathetic on death. They didn't achieve their goals. They go out sad like Mahito, for instance. I feel like there's a bit of that in most long-running Shonen Jump with their big villains. Kenjaku went out sad because he didn't get to see the thing that he set up. I don't believe the merger was promised. We know Takaba's curse technique works on Gojo, so obviously it has to work on Kenjaku. That's one thing, but two, if Kenjaku's actually having fun and this is what he's been looking for, he's choosing to give himself to this moment, and maybe not even to his own volition, just out of a sheer want for enjoyment. This is the first time that's popped up unexpectedly like this, where he just allows himself to have more fun than he thought. Kenjaku's showing bits of excitement through playing with Takaba in the water. He's taking damage, yet he's having fun. He is fully tapped in, and that cost him his life. If you still don't think that his end result goal was always to be entertained or his intellectual curiosity, why the hell would he teach curses how to play board games? The dude was bored. He was looking for fun. Well, that's it for the video. I know not everyone is going to agree with this, and you may have some flaws or have issues with anything that I brought up. Put them down in the comments. I'm not saying that this also answers everything about Kenjaku. I'm opening the door to the discussion of viewing Kenjaku in a different light. Let me know what you think. Stay normie, stay weeb, shit even in between is fine. Until next time, peace.